Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to tell you exactly what happens in your body when you mix coffee with creatine. Many people can really benefit from this mix every day, especially if you happen to be over 40, 50, or 60 years old. This combination can help you with energy, muscle strength, muscle preservation, your brain. You'll definitely love it. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to do it the right way, the doses that are usually recommended, and really the best time of day for you to get the most out of all this. You're going to love it. Stick around until the end because you won't want to miss this. When we think about adding something to coffee, we're also thinking about making it easier to build a healthy daily habit because coffee is already part of many people's routines. Coffee is actually one of the most consumed beverages daily by a large part of the world's population. And coffee helps generate a lot of energy in our bodies, mainly because it also helps reduce our feelings of tiredness and fatigue. It acts on adenosine in our brain, reducing its ability to act there, and as a result, it increases focus, mental clarity, energy, and even the motivation to take action. In other words, to put it simply, coffee can give you more energy and motivation for your walk or workout, while also supporting mental performance, focus, and concentration. For some people, it may even help reduce procrastination and make it easier to get started on tasks. The benefit of coffee is that it can make you move more. It also helps you access more fat as a substrate as an energy source. We know about the role of coffee in increasing basal metabolism, especially for people who don't already consume coffee regularly. When we think about weight loss and maintaining body weight, the physical exercise we do daily is very important. Of course, we pay a lot of attention to targeted exercise like going to the gym, weight training, swimming, water aerobics, Pilates. All of that is very important. But simply being more active throughout your day can make a big difference because your overall daily movement is an important part of your routine. So for some people, drinking coffee can increase their energy and motivation, making them more likely to move, exercise, and stay active throughout the day. It's that person who has more energy to take the stairs, to walk from one place to another, to do household chores, to park a little farther away, or get off the bus or subway a stop earlier to walk to their destination. So it helps with daily physical activity, and as I mentioned, this really helps preserve muscle, metabolism, and functionality. Coffee is also connected to our daily rituals, like breakfast, right? Many people have the habit of waking up and making it one of the first things they consume in the morning to help them wake up and focus. So usually, the morning is the most recommended time to have coffee, but having it before you work out can also be a good idea. Coffee is one of the best pre-workouts out there precisely because it gives you focus, energy, motivation. Coffee is already wonderful on its own, but just imagine adding creatine, one of the most scientifically studied supplements, to your daily coffee, your breakfast coffee. Many people think creatine is only for those who work out, for bodybuilders, for people who go to the gym and want to gain muscle, but that's not true. Lately, it's been widely studied for healthy aging, increasing our strength, even cognition, brain function, and our daily functionality. When we talk about increasing strength, this becomes especially important after the age of 40, because as time goes by, we have a greater tendency to develop sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is a physiological and gradual decrease in our muscles, in the amount of muscle mass we have in our bodies. In other words, as we get older, our muscles end up developing greater anabolic resistance, making it harder to gain tissue to increase muscle volume and strength. So, being able to have a supplement that helps you maintain or even gain muscle after 40 is like gold. It's really important for us. Creatine works differently from coffee because with coffee, you drink it and the energy, the alertness is practically immediate. Creatine is not like that. Creatine helps regenerate ATP, which serves to generate that quick burst of energy in our muscles, improving our response to physical effort. ATP is the currency our body uses to generate more energy, and the benefits of creatine are usually noticed after a few weeks of use. You'll feel less fatigue, have greater muscle firmness, training and even daily physical activities become less strenuous, and there is a functional improvement. I mention this because many people, especially after a certain age, start having difficulty with movements that are theoretically simple, like going up and down stairs or getting up on their own. Sometimes even the movement of getting out of the car, right? Where you're a bit below your center of gravity, you have to swing your leg to the side, stand up, and get out of the car. For older people with muscle deficiency, this becomes more difficult. So these everyday exercises, in short, these daily activities become easier. So that's what I was telling you, right? When we get past 40 and we talk about preserving or increasing muscle, it's not just about aesthetics. It's also about protecting our metabolism, improving blood sugar levels, We know that muscle is one of the biggest glucose absorbers in our body, regardless of insulin. So it also helps to increase, improve, and regulate blood sugar. And when we think about muscle, we think about balance, independence, autonomy, because nobody wants to get older and have to depend on others to do the things you used to do normally in your daily life, right? So when we talk about losing weight or maintaining weight without thinking about preserving or gaining muscle mass, we might be considering the issue of sarcopenia or this negative body recomposition, where sometimes a person starts to increase their body fat percentage and lose muscle tissue. So the number on the scale changes very little, especially in elderly people, in some elderly who tend to be more eutrophic, naturally thinner. So visually, the person doesn't look overweight, but the proportion of fat increases and the proportion of muscle decreases, which harms muscle strength, autonomy, and so on. We also need to talk about the benefit of creatine for our brain, because this is being studied more and more, and it's really worth mentioning, especially when we're talking about older people. We know that creatine can help with ATP production in the brain itself, and it can help with focus, with mental clarity. I have an entire video here on the channel talking more about how creatine is increasingly being studied for the elderly, and how it can help improve brain function, focus, cognition, memory. That video is very comprehensive and really interesting. I'll leave it down below in the description for you. One question people often ask is whether very hot coffee can neutralize creatine or reduce its effectiveness. What studies are increasingly finding in practice is that this coffee does not cancel out the effect of creatine in healthy people, especially because adding creatine to your coffee has the benefit of consistency, making it a daily ritual. Since coffee is already part of many people's lives, sometimes at the start of the morning or in the early afternoon, to give you that boost, adding creatine to a drink we already use daily, very regularly, very consistently, makes creatine become a habit as well. And as it becomes a habit, the effect ends up being more interesting. So how much should you use in practice, and which type should you choose? Because when you search for creatine on the internet, you find several different types, some very elaborate, some much more expensive than others. And for our purpose here, monohydrate creatine is the best option, especially because it's the one with the most scientific studies and will easily meet this need. The normal dose is 3 to 5 grams per day, so there's no need for an excessive amount, and you don't need to do a creatine loading phase. Just start adding 3 to 5 grams of creatine to your coffee every day. Usually, creatine comes with a scoop, and you can check the label to see how many grams it is so you can be more precise. Creatine has an interesting aspect because it enters muscle cells through transporters, and there is scientific evidence that the presence of insulin can enhance this muscular uptake. And what will increase this in a physiological way, right? When we consume carbohydrates, when we consume protein, or especially the combination of both. So if in this coffee with creatine, you also add a meal that is rich in high biological value proteins and healthy quality carbohydrates, you will further optimize the absorption and availability of creatine for muscle tissue. Some practical ways to incorporate creatine into your daily routine are, for example, if you work out, the best time is pre-workout. So you can have coffee with creatine. And an interesting detail, creatine doesn't change the consistency of the coffee, okay? Unlike psyllium, for example. Think of the consistency as if you were adding sugar. It doesn't have carbs, it doesn't have sugar. I'm just comparing in terms of consistency because it dissolves and dissolves very well and doesn't change the taste, so you can easily add it to your coffee. So creatine with coffee in your pre-workout, along with some whole grain bread and cottage cheese, can be a good option. Or if you prefer a smoothie, some milk with a banana or some oats and a little whey protein, that can also be a good option. Now, if you don't work out, you can simply take your creatine around breakfast or with lunch, either during or shortly after the meal. The exact timing isn't critical, so you can choose whatever fits best into your routine. I actually think it can work well at breakfast or as an afternoon snack, if your snack is early, because then you don't have the issue of reducing iron absorption because of the caffeine. It really comes down to what works best for you so you can maintain that regularity, because like I said, the timing doesn't matter as much as the consistency. And on rest days, even if you only work out 3 times a week, it's still worth taking it at the times I mentioned to you, at breakfast, around lunchtime, or as an afternoon snack. So what many people notice after a few weeks of taking coffee with creatine is an increased willingness to go for a walk or to work out, less of that weak or sluggish feeling during the weight loss process, and better muscle recovery and firmness. Remember that creatine, since it helps to increase and preserve muscle, can help raise your basal metabolism and may indirectly help reduce body fat percentage. So that's another very interesting point. It's worth giving you a heads up here because some people think about adding creatine to their coffee and say, since I'm putting creatine in, I'll add whipped cream, I'll add condensed milk, I'll add some fatty milk, whole milk, I'll add hazelnut flavored syrup. Don't do that, okay? The idea is to stick with your regular black filtered coffee without sugar. If you want to use stevia or another sweetener, that's fine, but just add the creatine to the coffee you already drink. I know that many people are concerned about creatine causing bloating or harming the kidneys. So creatine works because it can draw more water into the muscle, which is called intramuscular hydration. This isn't a bad kind of hydration, it's actually the kind we want because this hydration helps with the growth and maintenance of muscle tissue. In healthy people, creatine has a good safety profile at the usual studied doses I mentioned to you. But obviously, if you already have some kidney problem or any other health condition, if you're unsure whether you can take creatine, whether it's recommended or contraindicated for you, and how much you should take in your case, you need to talk to a healthcare professional who treats you, your doctor or your nutritionist in your city, okay? Remember that this video is for informational purposes only. It's also worth mentioning that coffee can harm our sleep if we drink it too late in the day. For example, if you have coffee in the afternoon, like during an afternoon snack around 6 o'clock or a little after 5, it can interfere with your sleep. So maybe it makes more sense to have this routine at the beginning of the morning. And of course, people who are very anxious or more sensitive to caffeine may need to adjust the amount of coffee they drink or the time they drink it. So once again, if that's your situation, talk to a professional who can help you in your city. So you can see that there can be several benefits for your health. It's something super simple to do in your daily routine. Let me know in the comments if you got excited, if you've already used creatine, what benefits you noticed, or if you're going to start using it now, okay? Leave a like on the video, it's really important to me. And if you know someone who you think would like this tip, share the video. Let's work together to spread this chain of kindness because that's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.